Welcome. You've joined us for another deep dive. Today, we're digging into something pretty fundamental for your well-being,
hmm
especially, as we get older. We're talking about leucine.
Right, the amino acid.
Exactly. Our source material today, it's excerpts from leucine, the key to muscle protein synthesis, especially with age. And it really paints leucine as, well, vital, doesn't it?
It really does. Vital for keeping and building muscle.
Which ties into everything's strength, moving around easily, even keeping your metabolism humming along.
Absolutely.
So our mission here really is to pull out the key stuff from this material about leucine, how it sparks muscle growth, and, well, make it super clear and usable for you.
Yeah, make it actionable.
Yeah.
We're going to explore why leucine is such a kind of hot topic in muscle function, particularly with those age-related changes we all face.
Okay, let's jump right in then. What
Yeah.
what actually is leucine for anyone who's maybe not familiar?
Sure. So leucine, as the source points out, it's one of the 9 essential amino acids.
Essential meaning. We
Mhm.
can't make it ourselves.
Precisely. Your body can't synthesize it, so you absolutely have to get it from your diet from food.
Gotcha.
And it's also part of a specific group called the branched chain amino acids. You might know them as BCAAs.
Ah, BCA is right. I've seen the supplements.
Yeah, exactly. And within that group of 3 BCAAs, leucine is, well, it's the star player. It's the most potent one for kicking off muscle protein synthesis.
Muscle protein synthesis, MPS, right? That's the actual building process.
That's the one. Building new muscle tissue, keeping what you have strong.
Okay, so if leucine is the star player, how does it actually, signal the body to start building? What's going on under the hood?
It's actually pretty fascinating. Leucine has this really specific job activating a key pathway in our cells called mTORC1.
MTRC1 sounds technical.
It is a bit, but think of it like the master switchboard for cell growth, particularly muscle growth, what we call anabolism.
Okay, a switchboard.
Yeah, or the article uses an analogy like a switch, or maybe even better, a dimmer switch.
Ah, okay, I like that.
When you have enough leucine floating around, it basically flips that mTORC1 switch to on.
Telling the muscles, time to build.
Exactly. And like a dimmer, the more leucine you have, the stronger that build signal becomes. It ramps things up.
Interesting. So it's not just, oh, I ate some protein. It's specifically the leucine level that sends the strongest signal.
That seems to be the key finding, yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very specific trigger. And the research mentioned really drives this home.
Yeah, talk about the research. What did the studies find?
Well, one really compelling finding was about protein dosage. They found that if you took a, say, smaller amount of whey protein,
Okay.
but added extra leucine to it, you could get basically the same muscle-building response, the same MPS, as you would from a much larger serving of whey without that extra leucine boost.
Wow. So that really points to the quality, the leucine content being maybe just as important or even more so than just stuffing down grams of protein.
It really emphasizes that, yeah. Protein quality matters hugely, and leucine is a major marker of that quality for muscle building.
Makes sense. And what about older adults? The title specifically mentions age. What did the research show there? Because that's a big concern for many people, losing muscle.
It is, and that study is particularly relevant. They looked at 2 groups of older folks. One group ate the standard amount of protein, the RDA.
Right, the basic recommendation.
The other group ate more, about 1.2 grams per kilogram of body weight per day, so a higher protein diet.
Okay.
And then within each of those groups, some people got an extra 5 grams of leucine with each meal, and others didn't.
Ah, so they isolated the leucine effect within different protein intakes.
Exactly. And the results were pretty clear-cut. The older adults who got the extra leucine, they showed a significantly bigger jump in muscle protein synthesis.
Really? In both protein groups?
In both groups, yes.
Yeah.
And importantly, this boost happened whether they were just resting or after they'd done some exercise.
Okay, so leucine helps regardless, but exercise probably adds to it.
It definitely seems to amplify the effect, which makes sense. It suggests that getting enough leucine could be a really key strategy against that age-related muscle loss, sarcopenia.
And you mentioned exercise. The article talked about a study with leg exercises, right? One leg working out, the other not.
Yes, the unilateral leg study.
Yeah.
That gave some clues about why exercise makes leucine work even better.
Okay, what's the mechanism there?
It looks like the physical activity itself helps sort of rearrange things inside the muscle cell. It helps bring that mTORC1 complex closer to other proteins involved in sensing leucine.
Like making the switchboard more accessible?
Kind of, yeah. There's another protein mentioned, cestrin-2, which senses leucine. Exercise seemed to help bring mTORC1 and cestrin-2 together, making it easier for leucine to activate the whole system.
So exercise primes the pump, makes the muscle more receptive to the leucine signal.
That's a great way to put it. It amplifies the signal.
Okay, this is all making sense. Leucine triggers, exercise enhances. But then there's this concept the article brings up, anabolic resistance. That sounds not good.
Yeah, it's a key factor, especially with aging. Anabolic resistance basically means that as we get older, our muscles just don't respond as strongly to those muscle-building signals anymore.
Signals like protein and exercise.
Exactly. The same amount of protein or the same workout might not trigger as much muscle protein synthesis in an older person compared to someone younger.
So the muscles get a bit stubborn or maybe hard of hearing.
That's a perfect analogy, actually. They need a louder signal to get the message. And in this context, a louder signal often means more leucine.
Ah, okay. So because of this resistance, older adults might actually need more leucine just to get the same effect a younger person gets with less.
Precisely. That's the implication. The body's sensitivity goes down, so you need to increase the dose, essentially.
And the article even suggested how much more might be needed.
It cited some research suggesting the actual leucine requirement for older adults might be potentially double what's currently recommended based on younger populations.
Double. Wow, that really shifts the focus from just hitting a general protein number to making sure you're getting enough of this specific trigger, especially later in life.
It absolutely does. It makes the source of the protein much more important.
Which leads us right into protein quality then. Because not all proteins pack the same leucine punch, do they?
Not at all. That's a critical piece of the puzzle. Different foods, different protein supplements, they have vastly different amino acid profiles. And the leucine content varies significantly.
So what's considered good? The article mentioned whey.
Whey protein is often held up as the gold standard, primarily because it's naturally very high in leucine. It delivers a strong anabolic signal.
Okay. And how do other common sources stack up, like plant proteins?
Plant-based proteins, think soy, pea, rice protein, they generally have less leucine per gram compared to whey. Still valuable proteins, but the leucine concentration is typically lower.
And what about something like collagen? That's popular now.
Collagen is very different. It's great for connective tissues, skin, joints perhaps, but it contains very, very little leucine. So from a purely muscle-building trigger perspective, it's not very effective on its own.
Right. The article gave some numbers on this, didn't it? Comparing how much you'd need.
Yes, it made a pretty stark comparison. To get the same kind of muscle-building potential, the same MPS response as you'd get from, say, a scoop of whey.
Yeah.
You might need almost twice as much soy or pea protein.
Twice as much. Okay.
And for collagen, you might need something like 4 times the amount to get a similar leucine hit.
4 times. That really highlights how efficient whey is or other high leucine sources for this specific purpose.
It absolutely does.
Okay.
It shows you need to be mindful of the type of protein if maximizing that leucine trigger is your goal.
Okay, so this has been super insightful about the science. Let's pivot to the practical side. For you, listening right now, what are the main takeaways? How can someone actually use this information?
Well, if the goal is maintaining or ideally building muscle, and this becomes especially important if you're, say, over 50, the big message is focus on getting enough leucine-rich protein.
Okay, focus on leucine. And is there a target amount of protein per meal?
The general guidance often points towards aiming for around 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein per meal.
High quality meaning likely higher in leucine.
Generally, yes. Sources like whey, dairy, eggs, meat, poultry tend to be good.
Yeah.
And within that 25-30 grams of protein,
Yes.
the specific target for leucine itself is around 2.5 to 3 grams per meal.
Right, 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine. That's the trigger amount.
That seems to be the threshold needed to really flip that mTORC1 switch effectively, especially considering potential anabolic resistance.
And you can get that through food choices or potentially supplements if needed.
Exactly. Prioritize whole foods first. Lean meats, fish, eggs, dairy are excellent. Some plant combinations can work too, but you need to be more strategic. Supplementation is an option to bridge gaps or ensure consistency.
And we absolutely have to mention exercise again here, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely critical. Don't forget the resistance training. As we discussed, it makes your muscles so much more responsive to the leucine you consume. They work hand in hand, synergistically.
So it's not just about eating the right stuff. It's about using it effectively through exercise.
Precisely. You need both the building blocks and the stimulus.
Okay, so boiling it all down. Pay close attention to leucine, not just total protein. Aim for that 2.53 g per meal within a decent protein serving, especially if you're aging, and definitely pair it with resistance training.
That sums it up perfectly. Leucine is that key initiator, that catalyst for muscle protein synthesis. And its importance just gets magnified as we age and deal with that anabolic resistance.
Right. So the big takeaway for you listening, leucine really is a powerful lever you can pull for building and keeping muscle, which is so crucial as the years go by. Getting enough leucine-rich protein and doing a resistance exercise isn't just about fitness, it's an investment in your vitality, your independence, your long-term health.
Absolutely. And maybe that leads to a final thought, something for you to chew on. Take a moment and actually think about your own diet. What are your main protein sources right now? Do you have a sense of their leucine content? Are they generally high or maybe lower?
Good question. Like, really look at what you eat regularly.
Yeah. Are there simple swaps you could make? Could you maybe shift towards more leucine-dense options at some meals? And then think about the exercise piece. How could adding some resistance training, even just a couple of times a week, make that dietary leucine work even harder for your muscle health?
That's a great point. It's about being intentional, isn't it? Thinking about the quality of your protein and combining it with movement. Definitely something valuable to consider for maintaining strength and function long term.